Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first fall graduate webinar here with Concordia University, Chicago. I'm Gloria Allen. I'm actually one of 3 enrollment specialists here with Concordia. And along with me tonight, I have one of our representatives from our Student Services Department who would join me in answering some of the questions. Her name is Camille Blake. And I'll allow Camille to go ahead and share with you all a few words.
Thank you, Gloria, and hello, everyone. We're so glad you've joined us this evening. Really count it an honor that you're here with us to hear more about Concordia University Chicago and the programs that are offered, and more importantly, the wonderful panelists that we have joining us. Some of you may have worked with me at some capacity, and in the meantime, just to kind of give you an overview of what I do here, I work with advising and retention. And so we'll be working with you in your future endeavors as, once you start with Concordia as you move through your program. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Gloria.
Okay, so tonight, what I would like to do, just share with everyone, the first thing we always want to just make sure everyone knows is that there's going to be ample opportunity for us to answer any questions that you all may have. Some of them will be in the chat, so please feel free to pose those there, and then we'll go ahead and take care of those. But sometimes what will happen is that we will cover some of those questions when we get to the presentation of the overall events for the program. So we just want you all to know that, but just remember that we are planning to just really have a good time on tonight and answering everybody's questions. So at this point, what I would like to do is just really take a few moments to introduce to you all, and it's really a pleasure to be able to speak to our guest on tonight. We have with us Richard Todd Gober, and he goes by Todd. He actually earned his doctorate degree here with us at Concordia, and he chose health and human performance. There's really not a real special reason, as he say, that why he earned his degree, but it's very special to him. He did it in honor of his father. We're going to allow him to say a little bit more about himself. And Todd, I'll just let you do that right about now.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. Okay, good. So, hi, everybody. Again, my name is Todd, and as Gloria alluded to, I'm odd. I'm a little bit odd, and the reason why I went to Concordia and chose to get my PhD, I would definitely be considered an outlier in the data set in the research of PhD students for sure. The purpose of my endeavor was simply to honor my dad. My dad died of cancer, and it was his during that last period of his life that we spent together. I just chose to honor him. He was a PhD as well, and so that's it personally for me. And I did not choose to pursue a career yet. Things can change at any time, but currently I stated my career. My career is in engineering, electrical engineering. And quite honestly, it didn't make sense for me this late in my career to change. So I've got my degree, I've got my PhD. I can certainly change careers when I'm ready. Right now, I'm just kind of waiting it out until I retire in a couple of years. So, but anyway, I'm looking forward to speaking with you all. I know where you are, you guys are. I was there. And I can just honestly say that it will go by fast. And you will be looking back at this before you know it.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Todd. I appreciate that very much. And also, next, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Emily Zaylor. She actually graduated from our master's program. She had a concentration in strength and conditioning. Currently, she lives in Philadelphia, and she is from Arizona. And we have several individuals on our team that is from Arizona. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing you, Emily.
Thank you so much. My name is Emily Zaylor, and I'm currently an assistant strength and conditioning coach and applied sports scientist for the Philadelphia 76ers. Since completing my master's at Concordia, I've spent time in both the NFL, WNBA, as well as the NBA. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the program or my career path to getting here.
Nice. Thank you so much. Our panelists so far, they are definitely bringing in a wealth of knowledge to everyone. And Nicole, we have Nicole Golden, who is coming up next. She actually graduated from our master's program. Her concentration was sports nutrition, and she hails from Pennsylvania. Take it away, Nicole.
Hi guys, can you guys hear me okay? Just
Yes.
making sure I'm using Zoom on my phone. Gloria introduced me already. So I own a facility called FWF Wellness in the little town called Sayre, Pennsylvania. Where I'm the owner. I have a small sports nutrition practice, and most of what I do is personal training. I have a staff of 15, and we do awesome work in the medical fitness arena. So we see a lot of clients with special medical needs, cancer, Parkinson's, drug and alcohol addiction, actually being one of our specialties. So in addition to my role as the owner of the facility, I write for the National Academy of Sports Medicine blog. I don't know if you ever checked out some of my articles. And I published a course through the MedFit Network called Drug and Alcohol Recovery Fitness Specialist that prepares certified personal trainers and fitness instructors to work with individuals in recovery. Fun fact about me, I have 5 children, including a set of quadruplets that are 15 years old. So it was fun juggling, it was able to do it. I juggled my master's program, full-time work, and I was writing that course while I was a graduate student. So you can do it.
Wow.
That's
Yes.
incredible.
Isn't that incredible? That's what hard work, exercise, and good eating will do for you. So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so now at this point, we're going to just take a few moments and just not waste any time, and let's just go ahead and dive into our questions for tonight. And either of you can go, whoever feels led to do so. And we find it very interesting, actually, to find out, why did you choose to attend Concordia University, Chicago? What was that about?
So I had been planning, I guess I'll just go first, on getting a master's degree, or I'd been contemplating it for some time. And I was concerned that I was too old. I was 36 at the time and had all the kids, and I just decided I was going to go for it. So I researched some programs. And actually, the way I heard about Concordia was somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn. And I think it was a Dr. Richard Wagner, if I'm not mistaken, said, "Oh, have you heard of this?" Because I was looking at Cal U, which is now Penn West University. And after comparing the programs and the tuition, what really got me to choose Concordia was I felt that the program was very no nonsense. I was going to learn the core content. There wasn't a lot of fluff in it. And that really appealed to me.
Oh, I like that. And by you saying core content, I get that type of questions every single day. There's not an extra fluff in it. So,
There are no fluff.
yes, no fluff.
So I'll just share mine real quick. So again, with my journey, it was simply a moment of where I had recognized a personal health issue. So I had transformed myself through learning the science of health and basically human movement, how to improve my health, basically. And during that process, what I learned is that the engineering principles and the concepts that I had been trained in were simply applied to the body. And what I became so enthralled by the science, so much like Miss Golden did, I went and did the training. I got the certifications, became a coach, lost a lot of weight, but yet that didn't seem to really capture what I wanted. And so I looked into the programs and I said, I should be able to take this thirst and this urge to go and make something more out of it. And so I looked online, and sure enough, I came across several universities at the time online. It had to be online. It had to be online because I work full time. And so Concordia, well, to be honest with you, I had chose another university, and I'd gone through it, went 2 or 3 classes through it. And I said, well, this is just not quite getting me where I need to be. It's not enough of that depth that I was really looking for. And I ended up getting on Concordia's website, saw the site, saw the curriculum, and I said, that's probably a little bit more in my line. Dr. Wagner called me, and we spoke. And so I did go ahead and transfer over to Concordia. I liked also the concept of having the tuition lock. I'm assuming you still have that tuition lock, because I got in on the master's program, the tuition lock on it, and it did not change throughout my 4, 5, 6 years that I was at Concordia. And trust me, that was great, because I do know that the tuition goes up. So that was really great. And truthfully, when I got into the core curriculum with the master's program was just outstanding. I loved that. And truthfully, when I got into the doctorate program, it's just an extension of the master's program. And it really just took what you learned in the master's program and just kind of dug into it a little bit deeper, did a lot more of the research into it. And of course, that I just ate that up. So that's, truthfully, I don't know that I could have gotten the experience, the science, the exposure that I would have, that I could have gotten anywhere else in the capacity that I needed to fit my lifestyle, my working environment, everything. It just perfectly met everything that I needed in order to accomplish this goal. I could have never done it, truthfully, if I went to a brick and mortar class. I just did not have the time. So anyway, that's the reason I chose Concordia.
I love that flexibility in the core content. I would like to hear from you, Emily.
Yeah, of course. So similarly to Nicole, I was researching different programs, was also looking for a remote option that could be completed online. And when comparing the different programs, what they had to offer, I loved that with Concordia, there was a specific strength and conditioning concentration, being a strength and conditioning coach. And, at the time, my goal was to break into the professional sports world. And I knew that having a master's would be something that would help me get there, as well as likely a requirement to do so. So when comparing programs, also seeing the partnership with the NSCA and the Concordia Strength and Conditioning Concentration, that really appealed to me as well, being that the NSCA is a governing body of the CSCS certification, which also is a requirement to work as a strength and conditioning professional. So it all just made sense and lined up. And I also saw other colleagues and people I looked up to as well that were graduates of the program.
I like that. All three of you said that one of the driving forces for you coming into the program, it was all straight to the core, no extra. And I'd also just like to follow that up. Emily and Nicole, did you both get prepared to take the certification exam at the very end? Did you actually schedule it during that time?
Yes, I actually took the CISSN exam and the CSCS, which, by the way, Emily, the CSCS was the hardest test I ever took in my life. That was rough. But I will tell you that for the CISSN, I passed with flying colors. Like, I got over a 90%. And I knew it was a breeze. The CSCS, I flew through the scientific foundations portion based on just what I learned from my master's. So I was not a strength and conditioning specialist or I wasn't in that concentration. I still passed the exam on the first try. And like I said, I scored very, very high on the scientific foundations just because of what I learned at Concordia.
Nice. Love it. It's all of it. And that is actually leading us right into our next question. What certifications do you hold and how did the program prepare you for your career? Because we know that when you're earning your master's, it does also include preparing you for the certification exam. So which one of you would like to go first?
I can speak to this. So a little bit different than Nicole. I actually obtained my CSCS back in 2017. So prior to starting the program at Concordia, completed the master's program in 2020. But again, I knew that to get to that next level, that I would need more than just my CSCS to kind of break into the world of pro sports. But since completing the program at Concordia, I also now have the RSCC, which is also through the NSCA, which just signifies that you worked in a high-level team environment for 3 or more years. So that definitely wouldn't have been possible without completing my master's at Concordia.
Nice.
So when I started, I had a lot of certifications, but this is the important point I'm going to bring up about the master's degree. So prior to starting, I was a NASM master trainer before even entering the program. But what I'll tell people, and I'll tell new trainers, is when you take a training certification class, not a master's degree, it sort of prepares you to be an auto mechanic. Like when you're talking about like an analogy, when you get your master's, you learn how to build the car. So it teaches you how to actually understand the scientific principles very deeply that surround these certifications. So if you don't already have the certification, it will make the exam a lot easier. But not only that, I will tell you that it improved my practice 100 times over, just having a really strong grip on the scientific foundations that builds those certifications. You'll understand why you choose an exercise. You'll never have to look at a chart again because you'll understand how a progression works, and you can do it off of the top of your head when you understand the principles. So that's the important piece about the master's versus just the certifications. Since then, I have a CISSN and a CSCS and a corrective exercise specialist from NASM as well.
Yeah.
You all are answering those questions so thoroughly. Ty, would you like to add anything before
Well,
we
yeah,
advance? I know you
it's,
would.
it's
Please.
amazing at how qualified our panel is today. So for me, the CISSN, I did get that in the sports nutrition, and subsequently not renewed it just because I'm not into that, but I did get that as a part of the program. But subsequently, I did go ahead and get the ACSM, the American College of Sports Medicine's fitness trainer, as well as the Certified Exercise Physiologist certification. And then also I got went into my specialty or my chosen field of fun, and that is triathlon. So I'm a certified level 1 coach for the USA Triathlon. So that's my certifications. I will just say this, that if for those that are choosing or wanting to go ahead and pursue all the way through to the PhD level, one thing I've noticed is that, and it may be this way for the graduate or for the master's program, but if you choose to, or if you're desiring to teach in exercise science, just getting the PhD is certainly an accomplishment. It certainly does open the doors, but what will set you apart is the certifications. So don't underestimate the need for a certification, even though you have a PhD. I do know that the jobs that I've looked at, just for the fun of it, I'll just say they've all recommended highly certain certifications, and primarily, much like Concordia, they're trying to integrate certification training into their curriculums. So it always helps to have that certification in addition to your education. So.
Thank you. And thank you. And I just want to add that if we have anyone who's there listening, any participants who want, because this information has been very thorough, and if you would like to ask any questions, please feel free to put those in the question and answer box, and we will go ahead and answer those, as well as take time when we get to the question and answer session. So please feel free to do that. Okay, so this is a question that we have, and it's really a frequently asked question every day with me or my teammates when we have these conversations with our incoming students. How did you all, and even now, balance your studies, your home life, your work life, your career life? How did you manage to do all that you did? Talk about that balance.
I'll go first this time. Yeah. So I don't think I have to really go into a whole lot here, just to say that online education is by far more comprehensive than you'll ever get by just showing up to a classroom and being fed. Because online training, you're going to learn it, and you've really got to apply yourself. I didn't know that going in, but I certainly enjoyed the process. So just expect a ton of time if you're going to do your training correctly and learn. So that's the good and the bad. But at the same time, for me, the way I balanced it, I was kind of fortunate in the sense that I could manage my work schedule around my training or my education. So I just dedicated a certain time of the day and certain hours of the week. I sacrificed a lot in order to focus more on the schooling, and that even more so in the PhD program. You just have to buckle down and commit to it. So, and plus I'll just say this, there are points in time in the curriculum, specifically during tests. I know in the PhD program, we had a comprehensive exam, and I'll just say the comprehensive exam at Concordia PhD for exercise science and human health and human performance, it's an incredible experience. I don't know the pass rate. I'm thinking it's in the 10% pass rate right now. It's not very high, but for the first time, it is an incredible experience. I had to take off work for about a month just to prepare and to complete that. So again, just be prepared for times in your program where you may have to take some extra time, like maybe if you're able to take off work or get somebody to take care of the kids or however that works, but you may have those times as well to meet those goals or meet your challenges for the week or for that session. So, but anyway, the balancing, it's almost like you just have to wait for every course to come up to see what the agenda shows, what the curriculum, what the syllabus shows, and then you can plan it. And that's how I made it. Yep. So I'll shut up after that and let somebody else talk.
That's really good, Todd. And you were working full time, correct?
Yes. Oh, yes. That was hard. Yes.
Thank you. Emily,
I think
or
Todd did it. Oh, yeah, Todd did an excellent job of explaining it. Like I said in my intro, I was balancing 5 kids COVID, by the way, because my second semester or maybe halfway through my first one is when everything shut down, and I own a gym. So that was interesting. The professors are pretty good at working with adults who are working and have families. So there is that, most of the people who are in your program are going to be in that situation. It really is just about the perseverance. I was up late at night writing papers sometimes. I would also try to just make sure I was well ahead of the deadlines that are on your syllabus. And like Todd had mentioned, looking at the syllabus ahead of time and getting ahead is probably your best bet. So get people to help with your kids. My kids learned how to cook the 2 years I was in school. And get help at work if you need it. Luckily, I had some staff members that were able to help and take some of the workload off of me. My one of my other staff members is currently finishing her MS degree right now, and I'm laughing like, haha, now you know I was stressed out all the time. But it is entirely doable, and the programs are designed for working adults, and that's why you choose sort of this asynchronous online education. So just bear that in mind.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think,
Go ahead, Emily.
you want me to touch, I was gonna
Please.
say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Todd
Yeah,
and
please.
Nicole, answered that question pretty well. It's about, creating, for me, it was about creating a schedule of looking at the syllabus and looking at assignments and mapping it out and staying committed to what I planned out for the week of completing each day. Because if I didn't do that while working full time, I knew that I would quickly get off track. So just having the self-discipline, like Todd said, a lot of sacrifices to get the work done. But it's really just holding yourself accountable and looking at the long-term goal of completing the program.
Yeah, I love it. And thank you so much. And Camille, from a student success standpoint, I like that we have got the realistic expectation of balancing work life, school life, all of this. As a student services on your end, when you're actually speaking with students, how do you believe this play an important fact? Because you work with them every day.
Yeah, we do. And we get that question a lot. Somebody who is having some struggles, maybe time management and things like that, we will sit down and strategize, even go through their schedule and strategize with them to find a way. There's some different methods that we have at our disposal to work with you guys that are worried about time and balance and everything, to find a way to map out, like I think it was Emily that said that, map out her day. Todd mentioned looking ahead, and Nicole, looking ahead at the syllabus and mapping out your week, because you're working in modules, you're working, through your assignments. And if you can map that out and see what's coming up, through that week, to kind of budget your time and so that you do have that work-life balance. And as advisors and as a specialist who will work with you on that, we'll sit down and give us a call when you get into that spot where you're just not sure how you're going to be able to do all of that. And we're happy to take the time to map something out that would be a way to budget your time and be able to still let your family know that you're still in the house.
Mhm.
or things like that.
There you have it.
And the other thing I wanted to add really quickly is also be smart. You don't
Mm.
have to do the accelerated degree. You can do one class every 8 weeks. And that was another piece that I really liked about Concordia's program, because you could focus on that one class. I had some classmates that tried to do the whole thing in 12 months. And while it's doable, I wouldn't recommend it if you're trying to juggle a lot.
Say that again so everybody in the back
Yeah,
can hear
so the
that.
back
I love it. I absolutely like that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you all for going ahead. It means a lot. Now, when you are, and these are realistic opportunities here, when you are actually, and I think I would like to hear from all three of you with this part. And Camille, you may want to pose a couple of questions and add to this. When it was time for you to actually start working on the dissertation piece, once you got to the capstone piece, because we know there's a lot that goes into actually completing any advanced degree. So let's talk a little bit about what was your experience and what was your preparation when you got to, let's start with the master's area. Let's talk about the capstone. So Nicole and Emily, I kind of want to hear from you maybe first with that. And let's talk a little bit about what was that preparation piece like for you. And Todd, I will be coming for you too. So go ahead, Nicole.
And real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but not only what your experience was, but what you did for your capstone. I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah. So my capstone was actually to take the strength and conditioning CSCS exam. So I had to learn the entire strength and conditioning, everything in that 7-week period. And that was rough. Like I said, when I was preparing for the exam, scientific foundations, no problem, but I struggled a little bit with the applied section because I had not been a strength and conditioning coach up until that point. I didn't have maybe Emily's experience going in. So that was that piece. The hard part when you choose a certifying exam is you have to pace yourself and you have to be very, very disciplined to study for that exam before going into it. And we had a number of people who didn't pass the exams. However, if the people who paced themselves and actually were able to complete the studying were able to pass the exams that they chose. That's pretty much what I remember from the capstone, other than you do have to do a presentation and everything. And I did do like a presentation and a big thank you to all the amazing professors I had in my time at Concordia.
Yes.
I will tell you, like, I will say I got my money's worth out of that program. But anyhow, I'm rambling. So Emily, what was your capstone project?
Yeah, my capstone was also a certification, but since I already had my CSCS and a couple other strength conditioning related options that were available, I decided to go a different route and do the behavior change specialist certification, because I felt like having that from a psychology standpoint and having that experience, I could help with the athletes that I work with on a daily basis and just getting some further knowledge in that area. So that is what I elected to do for my capstone, was study and complete that exam. And Nicole, that's really impressive that you learned everything for the CSCS in 7 weeks. So
Yeah.
It was rough, but the reason I did it was because my nutrition practice at the time had a focus on female athletes and low energy availability. So I wanted to take the strength and conditioning background to learn more about what the training that they go through actually is before applying the nutrition principles. But I'll say since then, I've actually picked up a number of strength and conditioning clients. So it turned out to be a really good idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, and before we move to the dissertation with Todd, that's one thing that's I feel for this program is that there are so many pre-approved certifications that you could do in addition to what you're studying for in your concentration for your master's degree. There are pre-approved certifications that you can do from NASM, ACSM, NSCA, and others that you can do as part of your capstone. So Nicole, congratulations on doing that as your capstone, and also Emily too. Love that.
Well, let's not go over that. Let's just say, I have to say congratulations again. There was a lot that goes into these courses and a lot of work that goes into it. So the sacrifice is real. And thank you so much for actually not giving up and just being so persistent. Really
Amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want me to share
Yeah,
my
Ty,
experience?
we're ready. We're ready.
So just to make sure everybody's clear, I did both a master's and a PhD through Concordia. So in my experience in the master's program with my capstone, again, I'm probably the one-off, but I was very interested in the health aspect of the science. Not that I wasn't interested in the athletics and the strength and conditioning, but I wanted to focus more in on specifically the cardiovascular response to exercise and how that improves your heart's health and the body's conditioning. So one of the things that I did was I volunteered for a while while I was going through my master's program at my local hospital. I did volunteer work to get myself established as a known, I was getting community, I was getting myself integrated into the hospital group. But then what I wanted to do was to actually culminate as a capstone project as an internship. So I was lucky in the sense that Concordia was able to establish a 6-month internship with my local hospital in the cardiovascular rehab center. So I worked hand in hand with actual cardiac patients at post cardiac surgery. And so it's really a fascinating experience for me to have that opportunity to actually see the science and to see it applied as exercise physiologists. So that was my interest in the master's program. And then again, I did the presentation, and that was my capstone. So wonderful opportunity. And I'm not sure everybody can do that, but I do know I had to do a lot of work to get that established as an internship. Although being online, then I was able to make an actual internship. Then moving into the PhD world, again, to get to the PhD program, and it's it's hard enough. But then once you get to the dissertation, before you get to the dissertation, just to let you know, you do have to pass a comp exam. And the comp exam, again, is brutal. And I'm just going to say it, it's brutal. But once you get past that comp exam, and I don't know how many times they let you take it, I did mine on my first time chance, so I was very lucky. But once you do get through your comp exam, this dissertation process, to me, it didn't really, it was not as hard and difficult as the comp exam. I'll be quite honest with you. It seemed like I put a lot more time in the comp exam, but I already knew what I wanted to do with my dissertation. My dissertation was simply the pandemic changed everything for me, which was horrible because it locked down everything. Where I was going to go into the cardiovascular research and do a lot more in that world, the hospital they shut down all interns, everything. So I had to come up with something. So I just did a predictive modeling, a statistical modeling, and the impacts of the pandemic on the lifestyle and the industry of recreational triathlon. And it was quite unique. I pulled together, like I said, I did I'll just say, I won't get into the detail, just did a high level modeling analysis and a predictive analysis. So I took the data from groups of triathletes across the world and created and developed my own survey, did all that, and brought that together, plugged the data into my model, spit it out, and showed everybody what I came out with. So I'm not going to go into a lot more details about that. If you're interested, you can get online and read my research, but that was pretty much it. So the dissertation process, again, great staff. My team was outstanding on the PhD level. And the nice part is that I had the opportunity to pick mine. I don't know if you can still pick your team, your committee members, but I was very fortunate to have Dr. Schneemann, who I think is still somewhat in the program. And so I was very happy to have her input. She's very professional, and very lucky to have them her at Concordia. So, but that was my process, my experience in the dissertation. And again, you know, I look back at that and just think it was just, the experience is incredible. So I'm so glad I did it.
You know, I just want to say this, and then Camille, I would like for you to also, you know, give your final point as it relates to the dissertation. I am just really impressed with what I'm hearing from our panelists about real life. I mean, exercise, that word is just really there. There is no no fluff. They're actually doing real life exercise science. We're talking about strength and conditioning. We're talking about human movement. We're talking about everything that actually does have to do with the body and its performance, the strength and the conditioning, even with the nutrition. So it's really reinforcing for me to be able to share this information with others and for those who may be listening. And so I'm definitely impressed by this, but I would really like for you, Camille, to just maybe pick it up and just perhaps just bring us on home with this part before we actually leave the dissertation and the capstone process.
Sure. Todd mentioned something that I thought was key, and that is that when he had to switch gears and recalibrate what his original thought for his dissertation was going to be, that the university worked with him in the time of COVID and everything else to find a new way to do some research that he was still interested in, even though he may have had to switch gears. And the team that worked with him, he mentioned picking, that is still part of the process, is finding those that match kind of within your area of research. And then also, one of the things that I think is unusual or specific to the Concordia PhD program is the cognates. We have cognate ability to choose elective courses that you can use to kind of pick through. There's 12 credit hours of that you can use, that will, you can take specific courses for that will gear you towards your dissertation, to maybe pick out some sports nutrition or some other areas where you can use it towards your dissertation to kind of color in and fill in part of your dissertation. And I think that's unique as far as the dissertation process is for Concordia.
It's a real, and there is a pretty big menu out there for that. And so thank you so much for mentioning that, Camille. And at this point, I would like to also have all of our panelists actually weigh in on this particular question. And please, I think you've already done it in many areas, but what advice would you give to our incoming students? And I would like to hear from all three of you.
So I would say you are going to get out what you put in. If you put in the work, you will reap the reward. You will make the connections you need to make. You will learn what you need to learn to be a better practitioner. If you try to skate by, you might be able to skate by, but you're wasting your money. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is you're going to get out what you put in, and there is a lot to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
next.
Yeah, outstanding. I couldn't have said that better, but you definitely will get out of it for what you put into it. Absolutely. Additionally, you know, we've already mentioned the dedication, the commitment, the sacrifice. There's no getting around that. That's just going to be a requirement. But one thing I can honestly say is, I just have to just say, get used to it. This is a grind. I mean, it's a grind. If you're going to get in it and you're going to stick it and get through it, it's a grind. Don't get into it half-hearted. Get into it wholehearted, because otherwise you're going to make a decision that you're going to rethink it. Basically, if you're not going to be committed to truly to get it through, don't start it. Also, my thought was, don't be afraid at any point for incoming students, at any point, to ask a question, to challenge the instructor, and not just the instructor or the teachers. Challenge your cohort, your team members, challenge them. And, you know, I can honestly say, I think in my classes, I actually learned an equal amount from the people that I was working, that I was in class with. And that I can honestly say you're going to learn a lot outside the context of the curriculum, just from the interaction of the others. So I'll leave it at that, but definitely get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah, similar to what both Todd and Nicole were saying, is make that commitment that once you're going to start the program, that you're going to dedicated to completing it and finishing it. I know it will likely seem overwhelming at times, and but my biggest piece of advice would be commit to it, see it through, and give it 100%, because that's really how you're going to be able to take what you learn and apply it into a career setting.
Wow, thank you all. Thank you all so much. What you have given to us, it has been excellent. It has been professional. It has been full. You all didn't give us anything that would you say potato chips. It was full of meat. And our distinguished panel, I would just like to say again, thank you so much for taking the time. On behalf of our entire enrollment and education staff, we really want to thank you, Todd. We really want to thank you, Emily, as well as Nicole, for the time that you have given to us to provide all of this excellent professional information. If you all have, I know I would love to see it. If you have websites or if you have any information that you would like to share for us to continue to follow you, or even on social media, if that's an opportunity for any of us who you would like to share that with, please feel free to do so, because I know that I have been so impressed with all of your forthcoming information that's been so true and well received. Camille, would you have anything else?
I do. We have one question from Josie, and this is probably going to be for Nicole. Her question was, what are some good certifications to look into for a sports nutrition concentration? And in the parentheses, she added, I want to be a sports dietitian. One thing that I will say, and Nicole, I'll throw it to you as soon as I say this, you're preparing for the CISSN certification when you do our sports nutrition master's degree. But I think that Nicole can probably speak to some other maybe advanced certifications as part of Capstone that you might be able to do as well.
So there is a difference between a sports nutritionist and a sports dietitian.
Absolutely.
To be a sports dietitian, you actually have to do dietetics and do an internship. I believe it's 1,200 hours. And you would have to do a different program than Concordia's. So Concordia's is actually an exercise science degree with a concentration in sports nutrition. You can take the exam to become a certified sports nutritionist, but your practice is more of a nutrition coach and less of a dietitian. You're not a dietitian. So it also depends on what state you live in, the practice requirements. So some states are very strict and you can't have a nutrition practice without being a dietitian, and some states are more lenient. Pennsylvania doesn't have legislation surrounding that. So just to be clear about that, it's a great program. You do get the exercise science background primarily and the nutrition, but it does not qualify you to be a dietitian. I hope that answers your question.
It does. I think so. One thing I wanted to piggyback, we do have a lot of students who are interested in becoming registered or sports dietitians who don't have the background to get into those programs. So they will come in and do the sports nutrition masters first with the applied exercise science to get that background, which will then give them a leg up on getting into those tough to get into registered dietitian programs later.
Absolutely. And if I had been younger, I probably would have done it if I had been younger. But my good friend, and actually one of my staff members who is a registered dietitian, when she was looking at the coursework it's very close to what the dietitian coursework looks like, minus she did not have the exercise science component, and in the Concordia program is more surrounding athletics and exercise science versus the clinical dietetics piece. So that's what you would be getting in addition if you did both. So it would be a good thing to do both. Like Camille had mentioned, the master's here and get the exercise background and doing the clinical piece with dietetics. And you can take a special certification exam to qualify as a sports dietitian. The cobwebs in my brain, I don't remember exactly which one it is, but this will give you a leg up on qualifying for that versus just working in a hospital setting.
I can tell you, Richard, Emily, Nicole, again, I can tell you I have been so informed tonight. We have these conversations on a daily basis, but I've definitely been informed. And for those of you who are here, and if you see the panelists' information that's out there on social media, I cannot tell you enough. And I just, based on even their conversations, community and networking is extremely important as you're going through your careers, whether you're working to obtain your master's, or if you're working to obtain your doctorate. A sense of community and network is very, very important. So as you continue to put your information there, you all please take a moment to take it with you, keep it, and then just move forward. So now at this point, again, I want to take this opportunity to thank our panelists on tonight. And now I would just like for us to just move just a little bit into, unless Camille, you would like to have something else to say, I would like to go ahead and we can talk a little bit about the program. For those of you who are interested in getting more details about it, we could just talk about our master's programs that we have as available, as well as our doctorate program. So as we continue to move forward in our presentation.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea, Gloria.
I think so. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into what we have in the way of all of our applied exercise science concentrations. And I want to say this again. Each one of these concentrations that you see, whether it's exercise physiologist, human movement science, sports nutrition, sports performance training, strength and conditioning, each one of these concentrations will prepare you all to get certified as you're going through these classes. And then I can also say this about the certification: with the exception of exercise physiology, human movement, sports nutrition, sports performance training, strength and conditioning, you all can all come in and just take the certification for those particular concentrations. So, and as we move forward with our next program, let's talk about, as you've seen, we've talked about the certifications. You see the ones for sports nutrition. That is the one for the certified sports nutrition. That's the ISSN. That we just spoke about. And our wonderful panelists just gave us all that information. Then, of course, if you do the human movement science, you can also get the certification. Now, remember, both master's and certification, you can do either or. They come with the certification ability. The corrective exercise specialist through NASA, sports performance training, sports enhancement specialist, NASA. And then you have the strength and conditioning. And for this, again, you can take the certified certified strength and conditioning specialist, as well as the certified personal trainer for NSCA. It's a lot of work to be done to get these certifications, as well as these master's programs. And the career outcomes, as you heard from our panelists, as far as what they're doing in their careers, it is extremely impressive. For your master's, some of the degrees that you're able, concentrations that you're actually able to be prepared for. Many of our students has gone on to be certified exercise physiologists. We have individuals who are going on to be athletic directors. You have the opportunity to be a performance coach. And then with the doctorate program, you are also being prepared to work in degrees in higher education. If you, of course, there's the instructors, all PhDs and EDDs, the research scientists, physical health policy advocates. There's a lot of research that goes into all of our concentrations, as you will be able to see just from what's listed on the panel there. Now, the program format, just as all of our panelists said, I just want to reiterate, the program is 100% online. Our students are never required to come to the campus. Even when it comes to working on your dissertation or even your capstone, those are done in your community. There's never a requirement for a visit to campus. Of course, when you're ready to celebrate with the graduation ceremony, we'd love to have you here. You can log on at anywhere, anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have access to your Blackboard. Just remember those deadlines. And like one of the panelists said, remember that syllabus. All of our classes are small. There would never be more than 20 classes in any of your courses. They're really strict on that part too. They will never raise it. It may be less, but never more. Each one of your classes are 8 weeks in length. The classes actually range with the master's. You're typically going to have 10 classes. For the certifications, you'll have anywhere from 4 to 5. And then for your doctorate program, the courses are going to range about approximately 20 courses, but all the classes are 8 weeks in length. And we do recommend that you take one class at a time. Now, when it comes to financing your education, we'll just kind of touch bases a little bit on what the tuition is. For both of our master's and our graduate certification programs, it's $5.93 per credit hour, and we did include your technology fee of $18 per credit hour. So it's for, and including the textbooks of about $800, and that's across the span of the time you're actually working on your degree. It's going to come out to approximately the $17,790. When it comes to the doctorate program, and as I mentioned, those classes are more, you're going to average about 20. So that's $7.93 per credit hour. And we also included your $18 per credit hour technology fee. So it will be approximately $56,217 for the entire program. And that does include your technology fee of, your book cost of about $1,500. So it'll really break it down just a little bit further for you. It's going to average just about a little bit over $14,000 a year. We do have payment plans many of our students do take advantage of, connecting with our business office to set up prepayments spread out over the 8-week duration of each one of your classes if you choose to do so. We are very excited to serve our veterans, and we do have contact information to help you set up that process when needed. There's also financial aid available for students who are eligible. If you apply and qualify, please take advantage of that. We also have a financial aid code, but as your enrollment specialist, I do have two of my buddies here, enrollment specialist Sushma as well as Robin. We will work with you all and go through this entire process as we interview you and tell you all about the payment options, all about the program. So we're there to serve you throughout the whole the process that you're here with us. And then, of course, Camille and her team will work with you, and they will work with you as you will have your advisor to work with you and support you throughout the entire duration up until graduation. So let's get to the good part, the application requirements. We are still accepting applications for the upcoming fall term that will be starting on August the 28th. For the doctorate program, there is no GRE, nor is there a MAT. All of our applications are online, and we do not charge a fee for applying to our university. The master's application, the GPA, it's anywhere from a 2.85 and up. If it's a 2.25 to a 2.84, we still want you in. You would come in on a probationary status. And I do want to share this with you. For individuals who are desiring to come into our program and you do not have a bachelor's degree, let's just say in exercise science, and it's in arts, we will take you. Just having the GPA from the business degree, the bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited school, and the 2.85 and 85 and above GPA, you're definitely welcome. You'll need your official copies of your transcript, 2 letters of recommendation. You have a personal statement, and then of course your writing sample and your CV if you are applying for the doctorate. Only the writing sample and the resume is only required for those individuals who are pursuing their doctorate degree. Again, your enrollment specialist will walk you throughout this entire process. Okay, so the next step, if you have any questions, do we have any questions that may have come up over any of the information that I just covered, Camille?
No, I think we're good, Gloria.
Okay, so we'll just keep right on going. And as I said, we are still accepting applications for the upcoming fall term. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly. My direct number is 708-231-1207. And my email address is also printed there, gloria.allen@cuchicago.relearnit.org. So again, the next steps, complete your applications. Actually, the next steps is really for you all to give us a call so that we can have conversations with you all, because our goal as enrollment specialists, our goal is to help make sure that this program is really going to be a mutual fit. We want to talk to you about your background. We want to talk to you about any challenges or any barriers that you may have, because the goal for the enrollment as well as the education team and the entire Relearn It as well as the university, our goals is to make sure that you all know that you are supported. Your success is really what we're all about, is you being successful. So we want to have these conversations with you, and we do call you a lot as you go through the process, because we want to make sure that we have all of your questions answered. And we actually, as enrollment specialists, we walk through the process with you all the way to the second up to the third week of class. Again, for those of you who would like to maybe watch this video at a later time, it is being recorded. And once again, classes are starting on August the 28th, 2023. Do we have any additional questions that we may answer?
One thing I do want to point out, Gloria, if there is somebody that doesn't quite have a 2.85, it might be something a little bit below that. Please don't hesitate to still reach out to us. There are some things that we can go through the process with and potentially have an acceptance for you as well. So don't let the 2.85 GPA stop you from applying and seeing what we can do as far as possibly a probationary acceptance.
Really good point. Thank you so much, Camille. Oh, and speaking of that, would you mind, if you don't mind, just because we have a couple of minutes left, would you kind of walk them through what that would actually be like for someone because some students are a little bit nervous about that, coming in and my GPA is a 2.5. I don't know. As a student service success team, kind of speak to that a little bit.
As a student, well, what we have available is something called a probationary acceptance. And what we would do is look at your application. There are other documents that you turn in, and we would look at that as a whole. Sometimes when we did our bachelor's degree, we weren't quite as focused as we might be. But in the process, you've done amazing work in the field. So, we can look at your objective statement. What is your objective statement? What grades do you have on other transcripts that might be out there that we can see what your cumulative GPA is? And if it's something that meets the probationary standard of acceptance, we can go through that process with you and request an acceptance based on that. And then at that point, you have your first semester with us to prove yourself as maybe a more adult, mature student than you were in your bachelor's degree, and with a good commitment, and to be able to pull those grades out and get a B or higher in your first semester with us in the classes that you take, then you're off to the races. You're ready to go, and you're able to complete, to move from a probationary acceptance to a standard acceptance and keep moving through the program as long as you maintain those grades.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Again, we want everyone to know that you're welcome. We're here to support you. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. And again, let me just take a moment and let's just stand up and give our panelists a round of applause on tonight. You all were excellent.
Superstars. Thank you so much.
And we would like to know if you'd like to come back and visit us again sometime. We'd love to have you.
Sure, anytime.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole.
We're looking to move to Oak Park.
Oh, there you go.
There you have it. Thank you, Todd. We love it. Well, with that, I do not have any additional questions. I think we're going to be mindful of your time. The hour has come. You all have a good evening. And
Thank you, you
again.
too.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.